Shavua Tov, my dear friends. I broke my glasses. One of the 10 pairs that I'm wearing these days to be able to see. Hopefully this will be over and done with by Thursday. I have my big appointment to check out what's going on and how things are going to be going. So, where do I begin? I have to begin at Monday, because Monday was the day that probably made one of the most incredible impressions on my life, and I need to share it because those of you who follow me know that it's not an everyday kind of occurrence, my life, that things happen. They happen. And they happen in very beautiful ways, and I share them because I believe. Now, the word I believe in today's world, I think, is something of the utmost importance, because believing in God for Jews, for Christians, for really any religion, because at the end of the day, you know, you can call it whatever you want, it's the same God, it's the same creator, it's the same mover and shaker of the world, even though we think, of course we think, that it's all us and we're the ones who are doing it, and we're the ones who are creating, and we're the ones who are making the laws, and we're the ones who are giving life, destroying life. And at the end of the day, my dear friends, we don't give and we don't take. Everything is all written. Everything is all given. Everything is created by God. The way you call him is your business, but you need to know that he is it. So, a couple of things before I begin the story. You know, I lived in Italy for 8.5 years, and I used to think that Italy was an incredibly religious country. I always thought so. Of all the people that I knew that came to my home, that were interested in Judaism, that were interested in my holidays, that were interested in my Shabbat, that were interested in my festivals, that came for Sukkot, nobody went to church. So few, I shouldn't say nobody, but so few of them were religious. There's a Vatican, there's a Pope, there's a church, the church has been and is anti-Semitic. And at this particular point, I don't even have to make the point because it's obvious, and Pope Francis, the same obvious. But hundreds and years, thousands of years, as long as the church exists, there were always enemies, very powerful enemies. However, there are always, and in every nation, and in every religion, and in every part of the world, there are good and there are evil. And the good always come out. The good always make themselves heard. Maybe not enough. Maybe there needs to be more power. There needs to be more words. There needs to be more life to those who really don't go along with what is going on in the world. But one thing we know for sure is that there are what my friends in Italy that were religious used to call me their sorella maggiore, their grown-up sister, because obviously Christianity comes from Judaism, and for all intents and purposes, Old Testament is equal, and we are in a form very close and related. I think what is necessary in this world is that instead of listening to all the political nonsense, the hatred, the misery, the political jargon that is being dealt out to the world, that is lie, that is hatred, has to be conquered. Conquered with education, with love, with friendship, with holding out your hands and saying, come, come. You want to know, you want to see, you want to really be able to discuss what you're talking about and what you're putting out to the world. Okay. Come to my house. Have Shabbos in my house. Understand what Shabbat is. That's what I did in Italy. And they came. And we talked. And we feasted together. And we learned together. And we enjoyed together. And before anything else, there has to be respect. And there has to be caring for the other person. And there has to be an understanding that all humankind is connected by life and by death. And who decides on life or death is only HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is only God. So when God gives a sign, it's like so powerful. And he gives signs all the time. You know, it's just that we don't look at them as signs until they, pow, hit us in the face, and then you stand there and you're completely taken aback, and you say, this is God. So on Monday, I have like a shed in the back of my house. And since I got there, it's just going to be a year on the 1st of September. The back, I've never gone there. Where the air conditioning units are, I've never gone there because there were motors and all kinds of stuff back there. So I finally decided that it needed to be cleaned up. And on Sunday, my very sweet helper came and cleaned up the whole back. And so on Monday morning, I went out there, and it was all nice and clean, and my eyes hit between the 4 air conditioning units, between number 1 and number 2. There are 2 tiny white eggs laid on one of my doilies on the bottom, and on the top they were little twigs, and the whole thing was put together, the most beautiful and carefully designed nest. And I was standing there, and I was completely, I don't even have a word to describe it, because the Parsha that we started reading Saturday night, so during the week, the Parsha Ki Teitzeei that we're going to do now speaks about one incredible mitzvah that we have as human beings that costs nothing, but is a super rational mitzvah that you can only do if it comes into your life to be able to do it. In other words, it isn't something that you can create. You can't create the nest, and you can't create the eggs, and you can't create the place. You can't do anything. There it is in front of you. And I looked at this, and of course I know the Parsha, and I was completely shaking. My body was shaking all over. I could not believe my eyes. The most beautiful, the most perfect, the most incredible, the most holy thing that's ever happened as a gift. But you know that sometimes that there are gifts that are simply not for right now. They're sort of a precursor. And there are rules and regulations as to what and how you have to work the gift. And I went in the evening, I went to a lesson with a Rav, and I had taken pictures and I showed it and I explained it. And I was told that there was nothing I could do because it happened or it occurred on my property instead of being on the road, in the field, anywhere. And so we're going to get to the actual writing in the Torah of this. But everybody had what to say, and the Rav had what to say, and I had my feelings. And to me, this was beyond. I couldn't sleep at night. I couldn't wait until the morning, until my friend Lori gave me the name of a pasuk in Jerusalem. He's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful man, and I'm so grateful. His name is David Fink, and it's okay that I say his name. And I showed him the pictures, and I wrote to him, and I explained to him verbally what I think and what I feel. And he gave me an answer pretty much the same as everybody else, but he added humanity to it, because I guess he understood that just to say it's not your mitzvah at this point, but what you can do is you can give food and you can give water and you can protect, so the babies get born and the mother can come and she is without hesitation that something is changed. Just give water and give food. And that made me feel like I was doing my part of the mitzvah, not the mitzvah itself. But I believe, because it's happened before in my other house in Tiberias, but it was all the way up and I couldn't see it, and I just helped the birdies to get out of the house because it was a closed front porch. But here, I mean, we're talking about at arm's reach. We're talking about at the half point of my body. Such an incredible, unusual place for a bird to make a nest. No leaves and no, nothing to protect it. A nest completely in the open. Go to my my Facebook page and see the pictures. You just won't believe it. You just won't believe it. So this Parsha Ki Teitzeei begins with the words, if you go out to wage a non-obligatory war upon your enemies, and God, your God, delivers them into your hand, and you seize their captives, and among the captives is a beautiful woman, and you desire her, you can take her, even if she's married, as a captive. However, you have to bring her to your house, you have to shave her head, you have to make her nails grow long, you have to make her repulsive to you. She should get rid of all the attractive clothes that she was wearing when she was captured. And then she should stay in your house so you see her at her worst. And let her weep for her mother and her father for a month. And after, if you still desire her, then you can marry her. And there are lots of other things that need to be done, obviously, but I don't want to go into that. I want to talk about the war. So we create living wars. All of us, the whole world. But the war really is between us and Hashem. Between creation and our desires. The laws are given by God, but man decides which of the laws he chooses to accept and which of the laws he doesn't choose to accept. And if we don't like it, we don't do it. We don't care for God's laws. We don't care about humanity. We care about what is good for us. The law says an article of men's clothing may not be worn by a woman. A man may not wear an article of women's clothing. For whoever does these things is an abomination to God, your God. Seems ridiculous to even mention it, no? I want to read you something that the Rebbe wrote in 5745. An article of men's clothing may not be worn by a woman. So the Rebbe was a tremendous believer in women, in the power of women, in the need for what women contribute to the world, how women contribute to the world. The goal of the women's liberation movement appears to be based on noble values, that a woman should not be given an inferior role to a man, for she too is created in the image of God, no less than a man. In truth, however, women's lib has brought about the degradation of women by demeaning the unique talents and worth of women suggesting that the only worthwhile choice is to act like someone else. This is highlighted by the Torah's commandment: an article of men's clothing may not be worn by a woman. The significance of this concept extends well beyond the appropriateness of the garment and clothing. The Torah is teaching that a woman cannot utilize her unique potential and enjoy the true satisfaction which that brings by trying to be like a man. A woman has a privileged task of imbuing her home with a truly Jewish atmosphere, and she alone has the unique talent of rearing a family, hereby perpetuating the existence of the Jewish people. After a woman has finished her task, this task, there is no harm in her pursuing a career amid the air of modesty, which is the hallmark of a Jewish woman. But her true pride and joy is surely not to be found by liberating herself from the talents unique to womanhood. Femininity is not, God forbid, a weakness that needs to be overcome, but a divine distinction that needs to be nurtured and cherished. You know, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, a friend of mine invited me to stay at her home in Piacenza, don't remember exactly. And we went to the beach together, and of course I was dressed flowing garment, t-shirt, long dress. That's how I went into the water. And I said to her, I said, if you're embarrassed, I won't go to the beach. She said, no, you just do what you need to do. And I did. And next week, when I'm in Jerusalem, my friend said to me, we're going to the beach, and I'm in Israel, and that's even better. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that for me, personally, the idea of what I left behind, that means before my tshuva, 26 years ago. I did everything. I wore pants, I wore sleeveless, I wore no head covering, everything, just everything. My mother, Aleh Shalom, she should rest in peace, when I became religious and I started to wear skirts and boots, okay, in the summertime, she said, you can't come to my house. People can't see the way you're dressed. People can't see what you look like. This went on for 5 years. And she just wouldn't have anything to do with me. Until one day, she called me up and she says, Miriam, this is your mother. yes, Mother, I know, how are you? I want you should come to my house. She lived in Boca Raton. I want you should come to my house. I said, Mother, I'm sorry, but you know that I'm kosher. She said, I went and I bought the paper plates, and I went and I bought kosher chicken from the caterer. And you can come, and everything is plastic, and you should come. Okay, I will. So that started a whole new relationship, and that went on until Hashem took her. And that was the time that I really had a mother, a very, very short time. So here is what we're talking about, sending away the mother bird. If you encounter a bird's nest in the street, on any tree, or on the ground containing chicks or eggs, and the mother is sitting upon the chicks or upon the eggs, which of course in my case it did not. You should not take the mother from upon the young. You should always send away the mother, and then you may take the young for yourself. This will be for your own benefit, and you will live a long life. Why does the Torah promise you that you will live a long life, specifically in connection with this mitzvah? Rashi says, in the case of such an easy commandment, which involves no financial loss, the Torah says, this will be for your own benefit, and you will live a long time. Then how much more will one be rewarded for mitzvot, good deeds, that are more difficult to observe? So, this mitzvah was not my mitzvah. It was a precursor. It will happen. For certain, it will happen. But it was on my property, not on the street, and not on a tree, and not in the field. And the mother was not on the chicks, was not on the eggs. So I couldn't send her away. But now I feed her. Now I know where she is. Now I know how to take care of her with food and with water. And so on Tuesday, I put out a little dish with food on both sides and water in the middle. And on Wednesday, I got a present. Little food was eaten, but the inside of the water was full of feathers. We will go on and see. I leave her I put a big dish of water, left the food, and as much as I can, leave her alone. I'm not even doing laundry out there because I don't want to disturb her. But I can tell you that in my eyes, in my vision, in my way of looking at life, this was the most amazing gift that I ever received. Because in the Parsha of the week, this gift came to me. The chances of anything like that happening, I don't know what they are, and it makes absolutely no difference. But it's all mine. And then on Thursday, my friend Miriam Alper took me to Mount Arbel, and because I wanted to be in the field and I wanted to speak to Hashem, and I spent a beautiful time. You can also see the pictures on my Facebook. I put them out. Most incredible sight in just I can't even begin to tell you. But these are situations that a person creates for themselves, and I do it every year. And after I have my conversation with Hashem, I'm ready to be in the month of Elul, to prepare myself for Rosh Hashanah. And I'll be going to Jerusalem next week, because the opening of the show is, the exhibition is on the 3rd. And then I'm coming back after Shabbat, and then I'm going back on the 28th for the lecture I'm giving at the Jerusalem Theater. I mean, there is, and in between Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot. And on basically Chol HaMoed Sukkot in the intermediary days is the 28th, and there will be my lecture, my first lecture in Israel, on the 28th. These are things that are happening. Okay, if you look at the coming one after the other, after the other, after the other, you see that there is like a string of pearls, strung of goodness, right one after the other. And in the middle, on the 27th, I have my appointment with the doctor, the specialist, after the operation, and Bezrat Hashem, with God's help, there will be good news. You know, there are laws. There are 74. There are 74 mitzvot in this parsha, 27 positive and 47 prohibitions. Obviously, we're not going to talk about it. And I want you to read, and I want you to find out about violations of intimacy and prohibition of marriages and sanctification of the world, modesty. No Jewish girl may be promiscuous. No Jewish man may be promiscuous. You should not bring an animal that was used to play. You should not bring an animal that was used to pay a harlot, even if it was exchanged for a dog, to the house of God your God to fulfill any sacrificial vow, because both the animal and anything it is exchanged for are an abomination to God. When we talk about modesty, and when we talk about promiscuity, people laugh. It used to be, not too long ago, that girls were not promiscuous and waited until they got married. And guys understood that. There was no such thing as the things that we see today. It's ungodly. It's abomination. God talks about it. Obviously, he knows his creations. If a man takes a wife and is intimate with her, and it happens that she does not find favor in his eyes because he has found something immoral about her, he must write her a bill of divorce, place it into her hand, and send her away from his house. It used to be that marriage was sacred. It used to be that marriage lasted forever. Love lasted forever. Respect lasted forever. People look at you today. How many times were you married? If you weren't at least divorced once or twice, don't even talk to me. You don't know what life is all about. God doesn't like that. Torah says that the altar cries for each divorce, even though there are conditions when that is necessary. Newlyweds. When a man takes a wife who is new to him, he must not go out to war in the army, and no military duty may be imposed upon him. He must remain free for his own house for 1 year to make his wife, whom he has taken, happy. Isn't that a great thought? To be married for a year and be with your husband, just be with your husband and get to know each other and be together and build a life. And you don't go into the army because you're newlywed. Things make so much sense in the Torah. And there is so incredibly great wisdom. And if you think about it, oh, well, that kind of stuff doesn't work anymore today. Well, I don't believe that. And if you think about it, really think about it, you will realize Torah is Etz Chaim, is the tree of life, and guides you. And there isn't one thing in the Torah that you can't find, or an answer you can't find for any question that you have. Hashem has thought of everything for his creations. He cares about us. He takes very good care of us. It's a pity that we don't allow it. If a man is witnessing a kidnapping, any person from among his brothers, the children of Israel, and then he treats him as a slave and sells him, that kidnapper must die, and you will eliminate the evil from among you. I'm not going to get into this because you know precisely what I'm talking about. You must know that even though we live in a lay country, Israel is not a religiously based government. However, the law of the Torah is in everything that goes on. Because we know, left, right, medium, whatever it is that you're looking at, the most far away Jew, the most non-religious, not secular, but secular, anywhere in the world, there is the connection. There will always be, no matter how you hide it, no matter how far you go against it, no matter how you try to avoid it. The neshama, your soul, is indelibly connected to Hashem. And when the time comes where you have to, well, let me go different. Let me say something else. People during the Holocaust who had no connection to Judaism at all, whereas reformed and diaspora-oriented were taken just like anybody who had a beard, okay? And they went checking generations, and if there was anything, they went after you. We're reliving times. Never again is now. Before they would deny God, in the last seconds of their existence, the words Ani ma'amin, I believe, and Shema Israel, Hero Israel, came out of their mouths in the shot, in the moment of being killed. Those are souls that are of the highest, I have the chills, of the highest value, because at the last minute of their lives, they did tshuva. They returned. This is the spark. And this is what keeps our people, our folk, our flock through all of the persecution and all of the inquisitions and the pogroms and whatever has gone on in the last 3,000 years. That is what keeps us totally and completely connected to each other. And if one suffers, we all suffer. And when one of us struggles, we all suffer. And horror things are happening every single day. And we live and we get through and we're powerful and we defend the Jew with trembling knees. There is a fantastic song that you should hear. It's all over the internet. I am not a Jew with trembling knees. No more. Why? Because we have a land. Hashem gave us back our land. And we will defend our land to the last breath. Nobody can possibly understand unless you come, unless you see, unless you experience, unless you really want to know truth and study and leave the ignoramuses by the wayside and drop the nonsense. But come and see and feel and experience my home. I invite you. What else do I need to tell you? You all can do this on your own. Weights and measures, penalty for embarrassment. That's a good one. If two men, a man and his brother, are fighting together. No, I can't do that. I can't do that. It's too personal. But there is, everything is taken care of in the law. Everything is taken care of in the law. Consequently, when God, your God, gives you relief from all your surrounding enemies in the land, which God, your God, is giving you as an inheritance to keep as a possession, you must destroy every man, child, and animal belonging to Amalek, so that you will erase any reminder of Amalek from beneath the skies. Do not forget what they did to you. Remember Amalek. Remember what Amalek did to you on your journey out of Egypt. How they surprised you on the road and cut off all the weak people at your rear when you were parched and weary from the journey, and they did not fear the retribution of God for hurting you. Exodus, October 7th. People that helped for years, gave work, gave food, were there, friends, open homes. Remember Amalek. Remember what Amalek did to you on your journey out of Egypt. How they surprised you on the road and cut off all the weak people in the kibbutzim at the rear when you were parched and weary from the journey, and they did not fear the retribution of God. Consequently, when God, your God, gives you relief from all your surrounding enemies in the land which God, your God, is giving to you as an inheritance to keep as a possession, you must destroy God's words. Why? Because Amalek does not fear the retribution of God. We need peace. We need peace in the world. But before peace, and before anything else, we need to pray. We need to reignite the fire of God in our lives. Because when we do, peace will come. All of us, Jew, non-Jew alike, we have to find our way back to what is law, to what is pure, to what is worthy of Hashem's creation. Have a beautiful week, a week of peace, a week of kindness, a week of health, a week of prayer, a week of tshuva, of return, getting ready for Rosh Hashanah, for a new year, for the creation of the world. Rosh Hashanah is the anniversary of the creation of Adam. So it's all of us. See you in Jerusalem with God's help on the 3rd in the Jerusalem Theater. Look for the posters. Love you all. ברכות עד בלי די. שלום, שלום.